So let's start by getting the total of columns and the total of rows. By using this formula, you can get the total of the columns and the total of the rows. Input the formula that is mentioned earlier and then put the value, which is B4 and B8. And that is how you get the total of the columns. Do the same thing to the others and let's go to the rows. It's the same formula but different underlying value. So input the same formula mentioned and the value used in the rows are B4 going to G4. Let's move on and tackle about how to get the average. So this will be the formula that we will be using to get the average of the set values. Input the formula that is mentioned earlier, then with the designated value, which is B4 going to B8. The same thing with the average of rows. Let's move forward and tackle about how to count the numerical value or the formula that we will be using to count the numerical value of the rows and columns. So this will be the formula that we will be using to count all cells in a given range to contain only numerical values. Input the said formula and with the designated value, which is B4 going to B8, and the same goes to the other columns. Same formula that we will be using with the rows. So the next formula is if. So the if function is often used when you want to sort your data according to a given logic. So the formula used in this function is this. So the logic that we will be tackling here is that if the total of columns is greater than the average of columns. So it is really crucial to not miss a comma or any marks because it will be an error if we will miss something out of the formula that is given. The same logic that we will be using in rows. Count A. So it is the same with count function, but count A counts all cells in a given range. So in count, it is only the numerical value, while in count A, it counts all cells in a given range, regardless of any type. So this will be the formula that we will be using in count A. Input the said formula and with the designated value, which will be B4 going to B8. As you can see in column 11, it automatically changed into 4 since it cannot count any alphabetical or any kind, whereas in count A, it counts any numerical value, alphabetical value, and such. So it automatically changed into 4, whereas in count A, it changed into 5. So let's move forward and let's get the maximum of each row and each column. So by using this formula, we will be able to get the maximum of the said columns and rows. Input the said formula B4 and going to B8. The same formula that we will be using to get the maximum of the rows. So on the other hand, so by getting the minimum spent of Maxine during January, February, March, April, May, June, we will be able to use this said formula. So that is how you get the minimum of the said rows and columns. Let's move on to the last one, which will be trimming. So this will be super easy since it will only be tackling about spaces and such. So by using this formula, we will be able to tackle about the spaces, the error of spaces, and let us put in mind that when we use this formula, it only allows single cells. So as you can see, when we input the said formula, as you can see in January, we put Eriline. There are many spaces in there. So when we input the said formula, it correctly changed the said text. So the same goes with the other words that I input with errors of spaces. So let's just put in mind when we use the formula trim, let's put in mind that it only allows single cells. So that is surprisingly all, and I hope that you understood the 7 basic Excel formulas that we will be able to use in our everyday living or in the near future. Thank you for watching my tutorial video.